Today on Certified Fangirl, I am so excited to welcome Lexi, aka Cemetery Wedding. She is a concert photographer, videographer, and a publicist who runs her own publication, Punkaganda Press. On this episode, we're going to dive into her journey, her first fandom experiences, and how her love for music has shaped her career. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Certified Fangirl podcast, where we celebrate fandom, spotlight people behind the music, and bridge the gap between fans and the music industry. I'm here with Lexi. So I want you to, first of all, welcome. This is the official first episode, so I am so happy to have you here. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, first of all, I'm so honored to be your first episode. That's so cool. But my name is Lexi. I like to say that I'm a creative jack of all trades because I kind of do everything. So I started off in the music industry as a concert photographer, working for local bands that I met off of Twitter, which maybe wasn't so safe at the time, because I was like 15, 16 years old. And then I moved on to videography and started practicing that more. And then in 2020, I opened Punkaganda Press, this online publication, with one of my good friends at the time. And it kind of just blossomed from there. I networked with like all these publicists and different bands and just their whole team. And now I'm kind of in this area of like, what else do I want to do? I started a PR internship with Big Picture Media and working with bands that I actively listen to. I do everything, which is...
Wow, that's amazing. So what what was the driving force behind wanting to get involved in like photography?
Well, I have always been obsessed with photography, whether it be like taking pictures from a smartphone. Back in the day when I had my first photography website, I paid notion to the fact that like I started off when I got my very first smartphone. My very first phone was like those pink Razor phones, and then it moved on to those slide up ones with the keyboard. And then finally, like after begging my parents, I got an Android. And I remember taking long trips to my aunt's house because she lived in Paris, California. And that's like 2 hours away from me. And there was one day where it was really rainy and I would always pass the time of that drive by taking pictures. So that's kind of the driving force behind it. When I got to high school, or when I like promoted from middle school, my mom bought me my very first camera. And it was that standard Canon Rebel T5i that everyone has when they first start. And then when I got to high school, I took a photography course and I was a part of my high school's Film and Media Academy. So I did a lot of video production, a lot of photo production, and learned how to like develop film and all that, just kind of like every aspect. And I think that is what really pushed me to go forward. And I loved music. I was seeing all these like different concert photographers and stuff like that. And I was like, I kind of want to try that. And then met some bands online when I was younger, and they were like very nice. And they let me come out to San Diego, which is also 2 hours from me, to shoot one of their very first shows.
That's amazing that just like it all kind of fell into place. For you, how would you define a fangirl, and would you define yourself as one?
Oh my God, yes. I feel like the definition of a fangirl has changed over the years. It was definitely to begin with like that crazy obsessed fan, but I think now it's just someone who's passionate about what their interests are. So like for me, I'm a fangirl of the story so far, like completely. I love them so much. So like I'm just very passionate about their music and their growth and just the history behind the band and stuff like that. And just kind of like every little aspect of their, I guess, trajectory in the music industry. And yes, I would consider myself a fangirl. Back in the day on Twitter, I used to have many fan accounts for different bands. I want to say that I first started off with Blink-182, and then it moved to 21 Pilots, and then it moved to like random people like John Bellion, and then back to 21 Pilots. I've had my fair share of intake with the fandoms and stuff like that.
What a pipeline. Blink-182, 21 Pilots, John Bellion, back to 21 Pilots, and then so far.
We don't talk about the John Bellion phase, for sure.
You know, we all kind of veer off and like chase something else. So with the story so far, is that why you chose to intern with Big Picture Media?
Yeah, in my email, I get a lot of emails from Becky and Carrie Ann and Dana and all of them, the whole team at Big Picture Media to kind of cover their artists and stuff. And then they posted about like, oh, needing interns. And I was like, hey, like I'm not in school currently, but I would like some experience on this side of things just because like I I've done the press thing. I've done the photography, I've done the videography. Like I want to branch out into different aspects of the music industry and kind of just like again become that creative jack of all trades. And so I was talking to Becky about it and they interviewed me and they're like, yeah, like we take non-students as well if you just want to help out and stuff. And I got it. And this is my if I was in school, this would technically be my second semester interning for them. Yeah. So very fun. So every time I see kind of like Dana talk about the story so far, I'm like, hey, can I
You
help?
know, I would be the same,
Mhm.
1000%. Then you've been there for a year then, right? You said like 2 semesters.
Pretty much almost a
Yeah,
year.
and you love it.
Mhm. I love it so much. I like started doing PR on my like own thing, like on my side. So I did PR for the last Imbalance release. Just because they were like, hey, we don't have like a plan to market the song. We're just gonna put it out. And I'm like, what do you mean? Me being from the press side, and knowing, understanding the behind the scenes of PR and stuff. I'm like, what do you mean? Let me help you out with that. So kind of took over that. And I kind of just fell in love with their music because it is reminiscent of the story so far and all those types of bands.
That is exactly what I thought when I first
Mhm.
heard the track. I was like,
Yeah.
this is so Story So Far coded. I can hear that, in the track.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I believe in you guys, so I'm gonna like if you'll allow me, I'll take over all your PR and kind of just reach out. And it was very much like, okay, I've done this, but like a long time ago with some DIY bands that like got a couple of like press articles. But this was very much like I'm shooting my shot blindly.
Have you ever like been in a band too, or
I wish I had like musical talent. I really want to learn how to play guitar. My
mm,
boyfriend plays guitar and bass, and he was like when we first met, he was in a band. He's from the Coachella Valley, so out in the desert. And there wasn't really a scene out there until like recently, but so he played in a band and they kind of disbanded and broke off, and now he's like trying to find a new band. But yeah, like I'm trying to make him teach me how to play guitar and stuff like that.
do you have your own instructor right there with you?
Absolutely
That's
free. My very first concert was Blink 182. My very first concert was Blink 182 back in 2016. That's when they had Matt Skiba instead of Tom. I would say that that was my very first fandom. Even like before going to, their concert and stuff, I grew up with my sisters like watching me a lot, and they were very much into like a wide spectrum of music of like Blink 182, In Sync, and all that. They're like 15 to 17 years older than me. So they were like growing up in the 90s and all that. And I just remembered like off of their 2011 record, Neighborhoods, there's a song called Natives on there. And I just like remember that being my favorite song growing up, and always listening to it. And at the time, like I didn't know what band that was until later. Honestly, I refound it and all that stuff and rediscovered all that and like kind of reopened those memories and stuff.
I love that. I feel like growing up, I was the older sibling, so I kind of had to find my own music, but I would have loved to have had somebody older than me, like kind of playing music around the house and then being influenced in that way.
It's funny because my middle sister, she listens to a lot of like Lamb of God, and that kind of genre of music. And I had originally piggybacked off of her music and then started like finding my own stuff within rock and hardcore.
Just evolved from there.
Yeah.
So how has being a fangirl shaped the way you show up in your work today?
I think that me being very passionate about bands that I love, and not just bands that I love, just like bands in general, I think that it allows me to kind of capture like the raw passion that they exude while playing live, kind of capture it in a different way where it's like almost capturing the behind the scenes of them, but while they're playing live. You know what I mean?
See so many different photos from shows because obviously like the bands share them on their stories, or I
Mhm.
follow so many concert photographers, videographers, and want to see their work. And I love a good like side angle of like the vocalist with their mouth just like screaming into the microphone. You can see the sweat. It's just so raw. I love that so much. Or I love a good mid-air jump from
my favorite.
I love a good mid-air jump photo. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, how are these bands getting so much air? How are they so aerodynamic?
I took a picture of my boyfriend like that, his very last show, and he's like jumping, and I'm like, how'd you do that?
I need a trampoline. What? That's amazing. I like taking pictures, of course, like on my phone, whatever, but I've never been somebody that's not necessarily passionate about it, but I don't have an eye for that. And I just wholly respect people like yourself who can see that and can capture that through the lens. 100% an amazing talent to have, because to tell a story with just like a picture or a video is incredible and make people feel something from that. I'm sure it feels very fulfilling to, hear people say, "Oh, I love your photos."
It does, because okay, this is a new thing that's happened, but people will come up to me at shows randomly and be like, "Are you Cemetery Wedding?" And I'm like, "Stop. No, I'm not. Don't perceive me." But it's happened. It hasn't happened like a ton, but it's happened a good amount of times. And my boyfriend will be with me and be like, "What the hell?" And they're like, "I love your photos. Your photo is my wallpaper." So it's funny to see like people saving my photos or like having them as their wallpapers and stuff like that.
That's incredible.
I would say kind of. I feel like it's harder for me to connect with like newer artists sometimes. I do see myself like binging one album and then like binging that for months and months and months on end. While I like it, it's just I don't foster that same connection that I do with like bands that I love, like Story and Neck Deep and One Step Closer and all those kinds of bands. But like at the same time, it's like that's just my fault for not giving it more of a chance, you know? I'll listen to it upon first listen. I'll be like, yeah, this is cool. And then I won't go back to it until at a later date. And then I'll fall in love with their album or their single that they like released and stuff. So definitely think it's harder for me to foster those connections with different albums and stuff. But yeah, still love music.
It's totally understandable. And I feel like when you're working in it, you kind of almost have to look at it from like a different lens of this is part of the work as opposed to finding it organically or like more so based off of passion, but like in a way, yes.
Yeah.
And then do you think like you've said that you wear so many hats in the industry. Do you think that's a way of you staying involved and rooted in the scene to some capacity, like always trying different avenues?
I think so, yeah. I think mostly I just want to understand everything behind it. I want to understand merch and artist management and just all these different little niches, because it's like my primary focus when I first started was photo, and it became heavily contrasted and people are looking for photo and video. So I started doing both, and then that became contrasted as well. So it's not just me being like scared of not having a job or whatever. It's just I want to know everything so that I'm versatile, because some bands will take a photographer that would double as their videographer and then their merch person. It's just like, like I kind of want to just do everything so that I can provide that to people, Yeah.
I totally understand. I'm the same way. I want to know like every bit of every piece of what
Yes.
this person is doing 3 jobs. This person, the tour manager and the merch manager, and they're,
Yes.
doing 15 things.
My very first tour was with Honey Revenge back in 2023, and I was gone for like a month and a half, right? Which everyone on that tour was like, "This is a really good first tour. What do you mean you haven't done even a weekender tour?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm just here. I've seen Devin at shows and I've known her for like a long time. There's a lot that goes into tours like that. So many people just I don't know. I didn't know the full trajectory of it, but I could just tell that it was a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
have to really want it to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
involved. Everyone I've talked to has been like, you've got to really, really want it.
Mhm.
'Cause
Yes, you
there's so
do.
much work.
It is a lot of work, but it's so rewarding once all that pays off. Like,
Mhm.
did I ever think I was going to tour? No. Did I ever think that my first tour was going to be a month and a half long? No, I did not. And it paid off. Like, I've always wanted to tour, but I didn't think it was going to happen. And so when Devin finally reached out to me, I was like, holy shit, I kind of have to like take this opportunity, you know? She let me know within 4 days of them leaving. Um, and she's like, can you hop on a tour last minute? And I'm like, sure. I just graduated college. I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'll hop on.
It's moments like that. You're like, I didn't even have to think about it. I just packed my bags and
I graduated. I just quit my job. It was like my internship for my field placement course. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. I don't have a job. I just graduated. I'm free, sure. And now it's more, I have to plan it out.
right time, right place. So speaking of going on a tour, what is something that fans would be surprised to know about working behind the scenes on a tour?
There's a lot of things that go behind it. There's not a lot of free time. At least for me, during that time period, there was not a lot of free time. So if you're like a touring creative, like a photographer, videographer, whatever that may be, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I would end a show. After their set, I'd be editing, I'd catch the headliner for a little bit, go back to working, and I'd be up until I want to say about 4 or 5 a.m. the next day. And then like we'd be driving, like it was a van tour, so we'd have our tour manager or someone driving through the night, and I'd be one of those people just like up and just working on photos, and then go to bed around 6 a.m. the next day already, and then wake up around like 12. So not getting a lot of sleep. It's a lot of work, but if you're passionate about it, it's going to be fun, and it's not going to matter to you, which it didn't.
Just wanted to know your whole experience involved in that. But I think that another thing that comes to mind is people think that when bands arrive at a destination that they're able to like, go and really enjoy that place, and they're not.
Yeah, so it was very much like go and drive, go and drive. Like there was no time to stop. I think the only sightseeing that we did was go to Niagara Falls on like the New York side or wherever that is, to be honest. Each day gets blurry. I don't know where I am. But yeah, it was very much like get to the venue, load in. We have a couple of hours before, sound check sometimes, but that's like 1 to 2 hours. So on those days, like we'd get lunch. Kind of everyone was in their own little world of like, hey, I'm gonna go get lunch. Do you want anything? I'll bring it back. Because sometimes people had to stay at the venue, or someone's sound checking, someone's setting up merch or doing merch counts and stuff like that. So it's very much sometimes we were alone. I did get lunch with Devin and their merch manager, Em, at the time. Well, no, wait, she's still their merch manager. I don't know why I said that. But at the time of the tour when I was touring with them,
She's still there, people.
Yes, she is there. She's killing it. She's a beast. Like she's a boss. I love her. She's my sweet little angel. I miss them very much. I don't see them so often anymore, but they're killing it out there and
They
slaying.
really are. It's like a little honey revenge love fest right now. I'm very proud of them. I don't know them personally. I've been to a lot of their shows. Now I think a lot of people found them on TikTok.
You know what's crazy is that Devin does all that by herself. Like she
By
doesn't.
herself. She was
Yeah.
on a podcast. I think it was Babes Behind the Beats, and she was saying how she's like does all the social media, everything, and I'm like, girl, you're joking.
Yeah, she does everything. At the time, I didn't do video, or I wasn't secure in knowing that I could do video. If I did, it would have been a different story. I would have probably killed it. But so like sometimes she'd pull me aside. She'd have me record like off of her phone or off of my camera or whatever, so that she could edit it or she could send it to the label to be edited. So very much she's in control of the social media and their trends.
Incredible. That's like the work ethic.
I can't even keep up with the trends. Like,
Amazing, amazing. So when you work with a band, like what's something that they do that keeps you excited to stay involved with them or wanting to return?
I think it's just like the passion that they have for their own music. Cause like for example, Honey Revenge, they're constantly releasing new music. They're like promoting a new song. I just think it's them being constantly like in the studio, passionate about their work, recording, and just wanting to do it. It's not necessarily like a job for them. It's just more so their own little baby.
Their poison apple baby.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
They have a song coming out tonight. I mean, obviously when this comes out, it'll be later on, but they have a song coming out tonight called Hot Commodity.
Oh,
So, they're
that's
just
the one.
constantly, yep, just
Yeah.
constantly doing things. I feel like you can feel the passion if people are genuinely passionate about something
Mhm.
versus kind of not necessarily faking it, but you can like it exudes from people. You can feel it through
Radiating off of them.
radiating off of them when they're constantly, touring and meeting fans
Mhm.
and writing songs.
Yeah.
What would be your dream like band or tour to be like added onto as a photographer or videographer?
Dude, there's a lot. Okay, this is gonna shock everyone that it's not the story so far. However, I really want to tour with One Step Closer, like so bad. They're so cool. I love them, and like I've seen them a numerous amount of times. Them and there's a hardcore band called Big Boy. Oh my God. I feel like I've seen them more last year and into this year than I've seen any other band recently. They're really good. Their stage presence is always great. I just saw them at a little venue called the DBZ in Corona, and that was awesome. It was so cool. I love them so much. I have like hundreds of shirts from them, beanies, and everything like that. They're cool.
I
Yeah.
have yet to check out Big Boy. I have seen One Step Closer. I feel like with the story so far,
Mhm.
they maybe played a show or toured together. But if they were to tour together, would you be pulling double duty
Hell
to be
yeah.
there?
I wouldn't care if I got no sleep. Like, I'll just do it. Yeah.
Caffeine 24/7.
Exactly. Red Bull on Celsius, on coffee, on matcha, all of it.
I'm manifesting that for you right now.
Me too.
So, so the last question I have for you, as you continue to grow both personally and professionally, how do you see the music scene and industry grow and evolve over time as well, like with you as you continue this journey?
Yeah, I feel like the music industry has been stuck in like I want to say like a patriarchal standpoint for ever. There's a lot more collectives that are now helping Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and then LGBTQ plus and stuff. And that's kind of like the reason why I started my magazine was to give marginalized groups a voice or a platform, especially during the pandemic as well, because all these artists got kind of their spread playing shows. Um, COVID took that away. So I was like, what can I do to help? I feel like as time goes on, that more spaces will be allowed for that. I forgot what collective does this, but they um they have like a photographer like thing each month where you can sign up and you can I guess essentially like earn and win a photo pass to shoot at the Greek Theater in LA, and kind of learn the behind the scenes of how a show runs and be a photographer for the night for the venue. And I think that's really cool. I think it's like, I want to say it's primarily for women and non-binary people, but I'm not too sure on that, but I'm pretty sure there was something like that. Just having more opportunities for marginalized groups and people who are just starting out. I see that growing a lot more and happening a lot more.
I sure hope so. I mean, I feel like that's in part why I'm starting this too, just to kind of, talk to people, highlight different voices as well as bands, people behind the scenes, fans, everybody, just everybody that's involved.
That's exactly what I'm like trying to set out to do more. I have a writer on my team who wanted to start a segment where it highlighted not only local musicians and stuff, but local restaurants and businesses. And it's called Bites and Breakdowns, which is very fun. And the first
Ooh,
episode's coming out very soon. And we're interviewing, his name is Braxton, and he plays, oh my God, in the hardcore scene, you see Braxton everywhere. Like, I've always wanted to become friends with him, so I thought it was a good first interview. You kind of see him everywhere. He plays in Encased now. Yeah, he's played in numerous bands. He's always filling in on guitar and stuff like that. But yeah, he's the first episode and it was very fun. And we went to a Taiwanese place and got some really good noodles and all that.
Oof, I'm gonna check that out. Bison Breakdowns is
Yes.
clever.
That's what my brain is so juicy. I came up with the name.
So clever.
But
There's so many people behind the scenes that are so important, that do so much work and just create this experience for everybody. When you walk into a venue and you see the show, there like a whole team of people have created
yes.
this amazing experience, and also what they post on social media or what the merch that's been designed. There's a person that's been working on that for
Dude, one of my friends, he designed the poster for the Blink 182 show at the, I think it was the Palladium. I want to say it's the Palladium. He designed it, and I was talking to him about it. I'm like, how did that happen? He's like, it kind of just happened. Like, I got an email one day, and I was like, got it. We got to talk about this more. Let's put a pin in this. There's so much that goes behind everything. I interviewed Bane the other day, or last month, and I like got to go into the venue like early, and I was still seeing them set up and sound checking, and there's just a lot of things that are behind the scenes of running a show or just being in a band.
And I think now, like currently, I've seen more people become invested in the other people on a band's team. Like, I used to not see that at all. People would only care about the band or like just the vocalist in general, and that's all they would care about. But now I see people knowing the tech's name or knowing the merch person's name, knowing the TM's name, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think so. On the Honey Revenge tour, someone made me bracelets. And they're like, I love your photos. It had like cemetery wedding on it and photography. I picture myself as being behind the scenes. You guys should be focusing on the band. So when that happened, it was really cool. It's just kind of crazy to me.
That's how I found you. It was the Arrows in Action
Mm,
tour.
yeah, you did
You were
tell me
on
that, and I
it.
was
Yeah,
kind of shy.
yeah.
Like, I'm being perceived right now.
It's
Scary.
like, nope, that's how I found you. Because every time I see like bands adding photos to their stories or collaborating on a photo with a photographer, I like will follow that
Yeah.
photographer and kind of check out like their other work, kind of try to add to who here can I know, who here is part of this team, and I think that's, important. So I like immediately remembered you.
That's
Thank you so much for being here, Lexi. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I think that listeners and viewers are going to appreciate your insight and probably feel inspired to start a career on the music side of things if they haven't already.
yeah. I had a great time.